Good morrow, my lovely little ghosts, and welcome to the Dark Orchard. I'm Laura, and this is a Bill and Ted video. As I said in my intro, this is a Bill and Ted video. More specifically, today, the day this video is posted, is the 10th annual Bill and Ted Day, and it just so happens to be the first Bill and Ted Day where we have all three Bill and Ted movies. Now, if you missed my Bill and Ted 3 prediction video, I will link that at the end of this video. But now we have the third movie. And to celebrate Bill and Ted Day, I'm actually going to be ranking my top 10 moments throughout the entire trilogy. But before I jump into that, let's discuss Bill and Ted Day and what it is. So the day that this video goes up is June 9th. That makes it the 6th month and the 9th day, 69. And that was the number that Bill and Ted were thinking of at the Circle K when they had to prove to each other that they were each other. Coincidentally, San Dimas High School, which is the high school that Bill and Ted were attending, has their final exams around June 9th every year. In 2016, their exam was on June 9th. And in 1988, when Bill and Ted would have been in school, the exam was on June 9th. So the final exam that was held at the mall that the whole movie was based around took place on June 9th. It just so happens to be the 6th month, 9th day. And speaking of the Circle K, I cannot be the only person that thinks of Bill and Ted quotes the entire time they're at a Circle K. There's one just below where I work and literally just goes through my brain every time. But anywho, without further delay, let's get started. Let's do that Bill and Ted countdown. So unlike my normal countdowns, I've just picked 10 different things instead of 13 that I enjoy the most about the Bill and Ted movies. Warning, there will be somewhat of a spoiler within this list. So if you have not seen all three films, stop the video, watch all three films, then come back to the video. So coming in at number 10 is the different versions of hell in Bill and Ted 2 Bogus Journey.
Granny S. Preston, Esquire. No way!
You stole Deacon's Easter basket!
No way!
I love the different types of hell and it being your personal hell idea that they created, that they brought to life in Bill and Ted 2. The fact that they were opening doors and finding different nightmare scenarios, so cool, so innovative. Could have just focused the entire movie on that and different things, you know, if it wasn't a Bill and Ted movie. Not focus all of Bill and Ted, but like a separate film just about different doors leading to different things like that. Could even be a scary movie. Like, love the concept. So that's why that's coming in at number 10. Number 9 is sort of Bogus Journey, sort of Excellent Adventure, and mostly the third film, Face the Music. I love the different versions of Bill and Ted. And in Face the Music, we get the most outrageous versions of Bill and Ted, including like the future Bill and Ted. Those were so fun, but my favorite was Prison Bill and Ted.
Unlike those last us's, we actually have a song. Is it a song? Yes!
Because as I mentioned in my prediction video, those tattoos are fantastic. The artists behind them, the concepts and everything, it just all worked so well. I still really want to see the backs of their prosthetics and the tattoos that were on their backs, because to me, that was a super interesting scene that made them look completely different. Like, I loved it. I thought it was really cool. It was a odd but interesting and unique twist to throw into a Bill and Ted movie. So for number 8, it is the scene with Napoleon at the Waterloo Water Park. Aside from the pun, aside from how funny it is, Napoleon at Waterloo, but it's a water park, aside from all that, because I work at a water park, I think it's hilarious to watch that scene. The way that he just like shoves kids out of the way. It's another one of those scenes that was so meticulously thought out that little details still show. Obviously his swimsuit is just underclothes that would be worn underneath his uniform that we see him in to begin with. Like the little emblem that's on it and stuff is just so interesting and so cool. And the fact that he like sneaks in while all the kids are being counted, you would not believe the amount of people that actually try to do that kind of thing. That's my number 8 just because I can relate. Rolling on along, coming in at number 7 is the Save the Princess storyline.
Will you go to the prom with us in San Dimas? We will have a most triumphant time.
Love this. Have always loved this. The fact that they broke time travel rules by saving the princesses, the whole Iron Maiden shtick.
In the Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden? Excellent!
It was just so excellent. Was my favorite concept in the films growing up, especially since they brought the girls back in the second film and now the third film. I love consistency and I love a good plot line. I just think that Bill and Ted does a really good job of taking a concept and making it even better. So number 6, we're traveling back to hell and Bogus Journey for them playing modernized games with death. Because the typical concept is that you play chess with death, and if you win the game, you get to live. If you don't, you stay in hell. But with Bill and Ted, they played things like Battleship and Twister. And it was just another scene that really stuck with me. It stuck in me like a pin, and I just think it was so innovative. I really did love that play on like the classic storyline, and it made more sense than them playing chess. Number 5 is Joan of Arc jazzercising in the mall. I had a little spell when I was younger where I was obsessed with Joan of Arc. Like, read every book available to me about Joan of Arc and watched all the movies, watched all the documentaries, watched everything that I possibly could because I was obsessed. I remember even doing like a Bill and Ted style presentation where I dressed like Joan of Arc to give the presentation on Joan of Arc. So of course I had to put a Joan scene in there, and actually I kind of want to tie it, the Joan of Arc jazzercise scene, super cool, super funny, but also the scene where they reach out their hand for her from the phone booth when she first sees them, and it's just like backlit in like a bright holy like light, and she looks so amazed by the outstretched hand offering to take her on an adventure. Love that too. Loved that scene. Thought it was so cute. But the fact that she just like picks up on the jazzercising is another just like golden moment from the Bill and Ted trilogy. Number 4 is Napoleon eating the Neapolitan ice cream at the Ziggy Piggy. The only reason why this is so high up on my list is because I always thought it was Napoleon ice cream, not Neapolitan. I've even ordered it as Napoleon ice cream at ice cream parlors. But of course, not everyone's brain goes to that, so I can understand why most people would be confused with me ordering Napoleon and thinking that I just can't read. But I also think that scene is super funny. The way that the younger brother just looks so disgusted by how eager Napoleon is to eat the ice cream, and how he hogs the ice cream at the end and is just like fighting with the spoons. So hilarious. The number 3 is the keys.
After the report, we can't forget to do this, otherwise it won't happen. But it did happen. Hey, it was me who stole my dad's keys.
The ongoing scene where Ted has to hide the keys for himself and make sure that he finds the keys and all of that. Like, the key scene is so good. And the fact that we introduced the don't forget to, and then they remembered like instantly after he says don't forget to. So the trash can falling that has wild stallions on it, right after he said remember a trash can. That's the kind of thing that makes these stories so unique. But I love that the whole time, like even at the beginning of Excellent Adventure, you hear the keys mentioned and you don't really think much of it. And then it turns out that they're a huge pivotal part of the final acts. So it's just overall brilliant storytelling. So number 2, I had a hard time picking between 1 and 2. I flip-flopped my second and first answer quite a lot. And I'll explain why. My number 2 pick is the ending of Face the Music. And it was almost my number 1. Almost few seconds before sitting down to film this, I switched it. The ending of Face the Music was so perfect. I mean, yes, it had Simple Plan, Welcome to My Life vibes, but it also had, it was everything that we needed in the time that it came out. It was powerful. It was that love for music that everyone was craving at the time. It was just that raw connection to the art of music making and the power behind it. The ending of Face the Music was so powerful for me, and I'm sure it was just as equally powerful for so many people that have such a strong connection to concerts and bands and just music in general, and the power that can be hidden behind a single song, a single lyric even. The ending of Face the Music really punched and hit home with that. So then to finish off, my number 1 Bill and Ted moment, the number 1 thing that I think is just the best about Bill and Ted. The presentation. Duh.
Mr. Genghis Khan!
Not just the Bill and Ted presentation, but all of it, like the football players, San Dimas High School football rules, that whole scene, all the presentations, all the things, the best. I really enjoyed how the people that Bill and Ted brought to the stage learned from things that they saw in the modern world and gave their interpretation of it to also reflect themselves. I mean, who didn't want to be able to do a Bill and Ted level presentation at one point or another? I tried all through my entire school life to do Bill and Ted style presentations, to really engage people by presenting as characters or presenting with themes. Even into college, when I gave a presentation on Egyptian art, I dressed in costume. It's just a thing that I've always done, and it was inspired by Bill and Ted. This was my top 10. It was very hard to come up with a top 10 because I think all 3 movies are masterpieces in their own right. They're cheesy, they're funny, they're quirky, they've got a storyline to it, and the storyline has depth to it. And even when they introduce new characters, especially in the 3rd movie, the characters work. I haven't really talked about the 3rd movie since I've seen it, and I've seen it multiple times now. The girls that play their daughters, perfect. Absolute perfection. The best casting I could ever ask for. They played the roles so perfectly. There's no other word for it aside from perfect. There were so many great parallels to the original film. There was a lot of homages to the original and Bogus Journey. They still had supernatural elements. They had quirky elements. It was an absolute trip. It was an adventure through time, space, and overall wackiness. No matter if you're talking about Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, or Face the Music, every Bill and Ted movie gives you that happy feeling. And I love that happy feeling. They're just a feel-good movie. And in the last film, the Face the Music film, was just so powerful. Especially the ending. The ending wrapped it all up, made you forget about all the silly jokes and all the funny things that happened, and just really hit home with how powerful music can be. So this was me counting down my top 10 favorite Bill and Ted moments from the trilogy. For the comments down below, I want you to tell me what your favorite Bill and Ted moments are. And if you don't talk to me about that, talk to me about something, because I'd love for you to talk to me down in the comments. So all in all that to say, happy Bill and Ted Day, and be excellent to each other. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come around again soon. Say bye. Bye!